This is the story of the great war that Rikki-Tikki Tavi fought single-handed through the bathrooms of the big bungalow in Sigoli cantonment. Darcy the tailor bird helped him, and Chuchundra the muskrat, who never comes out into the middle of the floor, but always creeps round by the wall, gave him advice. But Rikki-Tikki did the real fighting. He was a mongoose, rather like a little cat in his fur and his tail, but quite like a weasel in his head and his habits. His eyes and the end of his restless nose were pink. He could scratch himself anywhere he pleased with any leg, front or back, that he chose to use. He could fluff up his tail till it looked like a bottle brush, and his war cry as he scuttled through the long grass was rick-tick-tick-tick.
Okay, that's chunk number 1. What I would like you to do is please make sure that you use your text codes for reading, as well as summarize the first 2 paragraphs here. Pause the video now and go ahead and do that. Now that you have completed your text codes in these first 2 paragraphs and written your summary, let's continue reading.
One day, a high summer flood washed him out of the burrow where he lived with his father and mother and carried him, kicking and clucking, down a roadside ditch. He found a little wisp of grass floating there and clung to it till he lost his senses. When he revived, he was lying in the hot sun on the middle of a garden path, very draggled indeed, and a small boy was saying, "Here's a dead mongoose. Let's have a funeral." "No," said his mother, "let's take him in and dry him. Perhaps he isn't really dead." They took him into the house, and a big man picked him up between his finger and thumb and said he was not dead, but half choked. So they wrapped him in cotton wool and warmed him over a little fire, and he opened his eyes and sneezed. "Now," said the big man, he was an Englishman who had just moved into the bungalow, "don't frighten him, and we'll see what he'll do." It is the hardest thing in the world to frighten a mongoose, because he is eaten up from nose to tail with curiosity. The motto of all the mongoose family is "Run and find out," and Rikki-Tikki was a true mongoose. He looked at the cotton wool, decided that it was not good to eat, ran all round the table, sat up and put his fur in order, scratched himself, and jumped on the small boy's shoulder. "Don't be frightened, Teddy," said his father. "That's his way of making friends." "Ouch, he's tickling under my chin," said Teddy. Rikki-Tikki looked down between the boy's collar and neck, snuffed at his ear, and climbed down to the floor, where he sat rubbing his nose. "Good gracious," said Teddy's mother, "and that's a wild creature. I suppose he's so tame because we've been kind to him." "All mongooses are like that," said her husband. "If Teddy doesn't pick him up by the tail or try to put him in a cage, he'll run in and out of the house all day long. Let's give him something to eat." They gave him a little piece of raw meat. Rikki-Tikki liked it immensely, and when it was finished, he went out into the veranda and sat in the sunshine and fluffed up his fur to make it dry to the roots. Then he felt better.
All right, that is the second chunk of text. Please pause this video now and go through the text using your text codes for close reading, and also write a short summary of the text as well. All right, that's all we're going to be reading for the first section of text. Those first 2 chunks are complete. What I would like for you to do now is please open up your dialectical journal, which is this, and identify the key events, ideas, words, or quotes from the text, and then make connections, predictions, and your reactions to the initial text. And now that you've done that, please go back to our bell work for today and complete your exit ticket, which is reflecting on today's learning. Write 1 thing you learned and 2 things you will remember. Great work today. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will talk to you tomorrow.